Video games have been around for over 40 years, but today I'm going to talk about the most influential games of the first 20. We start in 1978. Space Invaders was released by Taito, a Japanese toy company that had recently started making video games. It was released to instant commercial success. By 1982, the game had grossed $3.8 billion, equivalent to over $13 billion when adjusted for inflation, and is considered one of the most important video games ever made. In 1980, Pac-Man was released by Namco, another Japanese video game company that had already released a few titles. The creator of the game, Toru Iwatani, had noticed that the majority of gaming arcades were filled with men, and only a small amount of women were interested in video games at all. Toru tried to change this, and he did so with flying colors. Pac-Man was a critical and commercial success. It grossed a total of $14 billion and still stands as one of the highest grossing and most popular video games of all time. Next up, Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Was a platformer released in 1985 by soon-to-be video game giant Nintendo. It was released alongside the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES, Nintendo's newest console. Super Mario and the NES almost single-handedly revived the gaming industry from the crash a few years earlier, and Mario still stands as one of the best-selling games of all time, with over 50 million copies sold. The game began a long-running franchise including movies, TV shows, and more video games. For my final section, I have to talk about the development of first person. It all began in 1991, when game developers John Carmack and John Romero founded id Software, a game company that would soon be a household name. One of their earliest games was Wolfenstein 3D. On face value, the game was nothing special. It was a primitive shoot-'em-up with simple square rooms arranged in a maze-like pattern. It did have better graphics than its competitors, but not by much. Other game companies were already starting to innovate further. The main advancement the game brought was a first-person perspective. There were already many games made about shooting up Nazis, but all of them were made in third person. Now you could see through the eyes of your character. Now, you are no longer merely controlling a character, you actually were that character. Even though Wolfenstein was a success, it wasn't by much. However, id's new game would be much, much more influential. Doom was a massively important step in the development of 3D action games. Firstly, the level design was vastly improved upon. Instead of an endless series of square boxes, the game had sprawling rooms with stairs, elevators, and so much more. The game also had an incredibly advanced engine and was light years ahead of the competition on the graphics side. It was released in 3 parts, the first being free and the following 2 being paid for. The first chapter, Knee Deep in the Dead, was played by over 15 million people in just 2 years, and at one point was downloaded on more computers than Windows. id Software continued on to create a lineage of games that would continue and expand on what Doom started, and because the source code was freely available, anyone can change and improve on the game in any way. To conclude, video games have been around for 40 years, and are ready for 40 more. Nothing is more ingrained in popular culture, and some would say nothing is more fun than playing them. Thanks for watching.